jumping into the wild card, first game, Colts go into Houston, prove us correct. We all unanimously went with the Colts this week. Thought they were going to go into Houston and take care of business, and they did. The Colts proved us correct because they are looking scary. Defense is young and it's good, and basically all over the place. And their offense is incredibly versatile with the weapons they've got.
That line giving him days.
Yeah,
days.
They're protecting him like crazy.
Wow.
And so that gives them time to find Ebron and Hilton, Marlon Mack, nearly 1,000-yard rusher in the regular season.
Might have had it if it wasn't boo-boo that first half of the season.
Yeah, so he turned it on at the right time. The whole Colts team turned it on at the right time. So now they're hot. They're one of those teams that they caught fire right when they needed to. And now they're looking like a team that nobody wants to see.
I agree.
And I'm very curious to see what they do in Kansas City. I'll give you guys my thoughts a little bit more in depth on that in a little bit when we get to the divisional round. But well done, Colts. The Texans, I think the offense just couldn't stay consistent outside of Hopkins. Hopkins was really their only weapon, it seemed like, all season. And if Watson couldn't rush it in himself or throw it to Hopkins, they probably weren't getting in the end zone.
Yeah, man, I've said it constantly. Lamar Miller, Alfred Blue, some of the most vanilla running backs I've ever seen. I mean, when I don't see Lamar Miller there, I get really excited until I see that it's Blue, and I'm like, you guys still don't want to score, okay? I mean, Lamar Miller they'll tear off a run here and there. You keep giving them chances, of course they're going to do something, but that running game, you need to fix that. That's one thing. And then if you're not respecting the running game, you're just going to double coverage Hopkins, who's still going to make plays. But when you know it's going to him, you can't catch everything, unfortunately. I don't know. It's a shame because I really like the coach, Bill O'Brien. He's very emotional. I can tell he really cares about the team. As much as I rooted for them, you would see when they would do something, he would just be like, come on. And, I really felt for him because he really wore the team on his heart. And so it's heartbreaking. Hey, he made playoffs. So congrats, but you got the Colts. Titans were knocking on the door. Jacksonville, as long as they don't have a QB, you're fine there. Yeah, and then you know what? Watt and Clowney were nowhere to be seen. Again, that speaks to the line of the Colts. Yeah. But the defense, I don't think was ever, maybe not a big issue, but I don't think it was ever a high point.
Well, I agree with that.
Outside of the line.
Yeah, I agree with that. Of the D-line. They had some individual stalwarts, but as a unit, they weren't necessarily a force to be reckoned with. Yeah. So, sorry, Texans, take the L. Then on the NFC side, you had the other, the 4-5 matchup, Cowboys and the Seahawks. Cowboys hosting and holding off the Russell Wilson-led Seahawks. To my surprise, I think both of us went Seahawks.
I would definitely went Seahawks.
No. Did you go Seahawks?
I think I went Seahawks.
Maybe Ben went Dallas. I think Ben went Dallas.
I think we all got
Dallas.
We all picked Seahawks just because we picked Russell over Dak.
Yeah, well, we thought that it was going to be, the defenses would basically neutralize each one's running game, and then they would turn it into a QB battle. And I think we all thought, Russell Wilson was a better quarterback than Dak Prescott.
Here's the problem. I think that's what happened. But what they ended up doing was Dallas picked it up and went, oh, hey, they're targeting Zeke. Maybe we should start throwing it a little bit more. Seattle never got that memo. I love their play calling. It was run, 4th and long. We'll throw a deep pass. Every time. Every single time you thought they were going to do something different, they ran it. I knew that. I am a coach potato. I am nowhere near a sideline. I knew that. That's bad. And you know what would happen when they do deep balls? They would complete them. And then they wouldn't do it for like 10 straight plays and 3 punts. Then they'd be like, maybe we should try that again. And it would work. And then they still wouldn't do it. I couldn't figure out their play calling. Granted, they were still in it. They were still very much in it. And maybe that's why they kept with the run game. Because it worked, even though your big chunk plays were always the passing plays. Yeah. Well, and I think they just got outcoached. And that's
weird to say with Jason Garrett.
That's saying a lot, but maybe not outcoached, but Pete Carroll did not help his team. If he was calling the plays, his offensive coordinator, which I'm sure he could always overrule, they did not help themselves. I question heavily their play calling.
You wonder how much got impacted by Janikowski's injury. So Janikowski pulled his hammy or something right at the end of the first half. They tried like a 57-yarder, and he pulled it. So they only had their backup punter. Their punter was their backup kicker, who he's one of those Australian guys that drop kicks it. So they had no confidence in him to even kick an extra point. Because they were on 4th and 4, they were down 10. They went for it, scored a touchdown, and then went for 2. They didn't even trust him to kick the extra point. And then, may I just say, he gave the worst onside kick attempt in the history of the NFL. I don't know why they didn't just tell him, hey, just run up and kick the ball with your toe and just hope it skips up in the air and we can maybe get it.
He literally
drop kicked it and kicks it 40 yards downfield where nobody even has a chance. Especially with the way they changed the rules of the onside kick where your guys can't start running until the ball's already been kicked type thing. So it's like you kick it 40 yards downfield and your guys can't even move yet.
To the arms of Cole Beasley.
Yeah, to one of the Cowboys starting wide receivers.
Their third down just blanket would just.
So it's like that was absolutely horrendous.
It was the funniest thing in the world. As soon as he kicked it, everyone was like, "Oh, they lost."
Yeah, even Pete Carroll was just like, "What the fuck?" It's like I could have done that.
I'll put me in next time. I can get 10 foot in yards.
Yeah, Seattle. I agree with you. Didn't make the right play calls. Ended up taking the L. So the Cowboys move forward. Then on Sunday.
Well, I'll get you later. I was going to say the only home team to win, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, so the Chargers-Ravens were the first game on Sunday. The Chargers went into Baltimore and squeaked it out. Lamar Jackson just looked pitiful for the first 3 quarters of that game. The fourth quarter, it's not like he didn't necessarily light it up, but he was at least making some good decisions and throwing the ball a little bit and getting some points on the board for Baltimore. Because up until then, it was basically like snap, sack, fumble. No, that was pretty much the play progression for Baltimore. They were just fumbling relentlessly. Kudos to the Chargers line, and Joey Bosa and those guys. They just wreaked havoc on him, and they made him one-dimensional, and they made him the dimension that he sucks balls at. He cannot throw.
Yep.
They limited the running,
but you know what?
It showed.
After the fucking 5th field goal attempt by the Chargers, I was like, y'all deserve to lose. You kidding me? And actually, they missed it. I think they missed the 5th one. They got the first 4. They missed the 5th, and I was like, this is the fucking playoffs. Like, I get it. You play to win, get points. Obviously, it hurts you when you don't. You don't end up like Bama fucking keep turning it over the red zone.
Yeah.
But just get a fucking touchdown. There's a reason why Baltimore, regardless of how successful the Chargers were on offense, how shitty Baltimore was, Baltimore still had the slightest of chances in the 4th because all the Chargers could do was get field goals. I think they got 1 touchdown. They got 1. And then I want to say they failed at the 2-pointer. No, they got the 2-pointer, I'm sorry, because Mike Williams caught it. But 1 touchdown, 5. He might have attempted 6 in total by the end of the game.
5 field goals.
Yeah. You play to win the game. You won. But if you don't turn those 3-pointers into 7, it's going to bite you in the ass, regardless of how good your defense did, which they did phenomenal. I think, I know it's a little harsh to say your offense failed because they still won, but the defense definitely helped you a shit ton.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But the Chargers have it tough. They had to go to Baltimore, then they're going to go back home, and now they got to go to Foxborough. So they're going to go cross-country, basically back and forth relentlessly for 2 weeks. So we'll see how that goes. But they get it done. And then the final game of the wild card left me the saltiest of all the games. I'll preface it with this. So if you didn't watch the game, Bears lost. Cody Parkey. It has been changed to a blocked kick. That kick was tipped.
Whatever.
Apparently, but
it is 100 times more hilarious just to think that he doinked it off the field post again.
I don't disagree.
Again.
But, he misses the kick, in basically Cody Parkey fashion this year. Doinks it, double doinks it. Hits the upright, then hits the crossbar, then bounces out. Obviously incredibly depressing. And I just want to make it clear because it's the first time it's come up with my team specifically. Anybody who, is coming out like making threats or whatever like against him, that is bullshit. And it's like, you know what? Yes, we're all fans of the team. I don't think he should have been on the roster at this point anyway. He should have been cut, I think, a lot earlier in the season for his inconsistency. But the reality is he was the kicker. It's a pressure situation. It's tough. He missed it. If he hadn't made his 3 kicks prior to that in the game, we're not even there. We're not even in contention for this. The offense had plenty of opportunity all game long. Did not get the job done until the final drive.
Yeah,
you can't put yourself in the position to rely on him to win it.
Same with what I said with the Chargers. Don't you need to turn those 3s into 7s, especially when you have such a liability at the kicking position. Yep. Chargers have a good kicker.
Bears do not. Bears do not.
And that was the man. I would be shocked if that was the plan going in. I'm sure they would have rather have scored a touchdown. I don't think even your coach was like, there's no fucking way he can be relied on. Trubisky, you go. But that's what it came down to. That's what you did.
I think each team, both Philly and the Bears, can both confidently say their defenses did their jobs that night. Each defense did what they needed to do to win that game. The Bears made some poor, I think what I would consider poor play calling in the sense that basically the last 4 weeks of the season we had been pounding the ball on the ground with Howard. He carried it like 10 times maybe that game. You got to feed him the rock, milk the clock, get the ball rolling. That's what's worked in our favor so much, keep our defense off the field, even though they're good, and you can rely on them. You need to keep them rested. We didn't do that, basically at all because we didn't even fucking run it.
I know. Where was Cohen? The only time
he was nowhere to be found all game.
The only time I ever heard his name when he was like returning the punt or the kick. And
he returned the kick.
Isn't he a running back? What the fuck are you guys doing?
They basically abandoned the running game, which was stupid. Trey Burton was a last minute inactive, which sucks. He's one of those kind of fail safes for Trubisky. But at the end of the day, the defense gave our offense plenty of opportunity to put up 6. The offense did not get it done. The Eagles offense really didn't do much either outside of the drive that they needed to. And Foles got them into range. That we had 3 fucking stupid penalties that cost us that one. The stupid late hit on the receiver, defensive pass interference, to get him basically right up to like a 2. And then they just ran a simple out route with Golden Tate and he scores. There's no excuses to be made. I don't think the Bears can point the finger at anything. Parkey's an easy out because he basically sucked all year and then he misses the last kick of the game to, seal the loss for us. But ironically enough, I don't think that this game was on him. With how many drives we had and the opportunities we had to put some points on the board, I think outside of the last drive where Trubisky got them into field goal range, that was the only drive where he did really what he needed to do. Outside of that, he was way too inconsistent all game. The offense just couldn't get anything going. So credit to Philly and their defense, for disrupting that. Foles got it done, and they kind of solidified the argument we were having last week where who do you want to play? Do you want to play at Minnesota for a third time in the wildcard game, or do you want to get the team that's red hot in Philly? I don't know if there's a good pick, and ultimately it didn't pan out for us.
I think both me and Ben mentioned that Vikings might have the better roster. I thought the team that was more dangerous were the Eagles.
I'd agree. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
There were no walk in the parky.
So Philly gets it done, and the Bears have been bounced. So go
wrap that up. They lost. 3 of the 4 teams, road teams. What do you make of
that? What I make of it is that the teams that are in the playoffs this year, I think, are the ones that needed to be in the playoffs this year. The ones that deserve to be in it. And the NFL is, we talked about it at the very beginning of the season, is one of the most volatile and most entertaining to watch postseason because anything can happen. The one and done format makes it that way. It's win or go home. And it's who the better team was that day, not who's been better all season.
I agree because I would say on the NFC side, neither of the better teams won. I think everyone or a lot of people would agree Seattle is better than Dallas, and Bears are better than the Eagles. They both lost.
Yep.
I think but hey, win or go home.